Is the camera pointed at me? Really hope so. It's on the edge of my my glass table that has all my plants on it, because I don't have a place to film over here anymore. And it sucks that I don't have like a pretty background anymore. I have just clutter behind me. Oh well, it's a nice setup in its own right, I guess. Just makes me have to be a little more creative with how I vlog, you know. I have to actually be interesting instead of having you have a pretty background to stare at. But I washed my hair today. Didn't feel like messing with it, so I put it up in this bun mess thing. Most of it goes up now. It's growing. It's getting there. Eventually I'll be able to put it up in like really cool braids or something. I don't know. It'll look cool. But I vlogged yesterday, and I kind of feel like vlogging today. Maybe it's because I have this, but I don't know. I just felt like vlogging a whole lot, so I'm gonna vlog again. Probably won't get this one until like next week though, but know that 2 of the vlogs were done within a day of each other. So it's really hot in this room. I think it's because I've had the energy drink, because I have like all the heat turned off and everything. I was thinking about how a lot of people that I watch on YouTube do, like, when they're casually like talking, they'll talk about like childhood experiences and stuff, and I thought, hey, why don't I do a vlog where I do that, where I talk about a couple of things from my childhood, because I'm a weird adult, but I was also a weird kid, so I don't know, I thought it would be fun. So I am. First thing I'm going to talk about is just like character creation. I have always loved creating characters, and I didn't remember this 100%, but apparently like I have literally been creating characters since I was 4 years old. Okay, anyways, trying to... Is that better? Alright. Camera decided that its batteries were dead. I knew that would happen soon, but I figured it would happen at Katsucon. It didn't happen at Katsucon. Probably because I didn't take many of my pictures. I had a friend do most of the picture taking. I might do a collage of the pictures we took, but I don't know. His camera was wigging out, so the lighting in some of them is bad. And I know pictures of me specifically, I look, in my opinion, not good. Other people say I look fine, but in my opinion, not good. And if my opinion is what's going to get these put up or not, then probably won't see them. Anyways, back to childhood stuff. When I was 4, I created 2 different characters, and they were like supposed to be me-ish. One of them was a superhero I called Christy Christy. I don't even know how I knew about superheroes at that age. Maybe I saw something in a cartoon. But I always used to wear this penguin bathing suit all the time, and that was like my superhero outfit. Like, my mother could barely get me out of it. Like, I would wear it to bed and stuff too. But, you know, Christy Christy ran around and pretended to fly, and when her parents fought, she was going to save both of them, you know, by stopping the fight. That's about as much as I remember that one. And then another one was, I don't know if this one ever had a name, but I was definitely a unicorn for a while. So much so that my dad and his friends, like, took like all the big rocks, and these are like boulder-sized rocks. These are like rocks you can absolutely sit on. That were like chilling by the stream and stuff in our yard, and like form them in a half circle. If I ever get the chance to show you the area, like, it's still completely intact. I am 29 years old. This happened when I was 4 or 5, and everything's still intact. So like, but like, they actually built like a little area for me to play in by the stream, and it was called Unicorn Land because I loved unicorns, and that's because my mother collected unicorn and Pegasus everything and got me addicted. Like, I look back at it now, and my mom was such a nerd, and I don't know that I realized it until recently, but she's such a nerd. She loved dragons, she loved Pegasus, she loved unicorns, she loved Greek mythology, she loved Egyptian mythology, she loved Star Trek. So, Yeah, and she still loves those things to a degree now, but I think I'm getting her nerdy in other ways too. So I was always going to be a nerd. My mother was a nerd. Is a nerd. She didn't go anywhere. But, yeah. Basically, like, I always pretended to be this unicorn character and, like, ended up getting my friends in on it too. And, like I said, my dad specifically made this, like, little area that I could play on called Unicorn Land. Yeah. I actually might have a picture of it because I went back to my old house, like 3 years ago and took pictures. It's really hard to go back there because we had really, like, nosy neighbors who always tried to get us in trouble, so whenever I go back there to visit, nosy neighbors get, like, in the way. Our house is super old. That was, like, over 100 years old, so, like, it's, nobody's living in it anymore because it's not really safe to live in it. But I'm thinking of when I get a tiny house, I might see if that land is available and, like, have my tiny house, there. Depends on if those two neighbors are still going to be nosy, because I have every right to be there if I'm, like, paying rent on the land. And they're, like, trying to chop down, like, every tree in the area. I'll just friggin' plant more trees. So there. Suck it. Anyways, so I was a very imaginative and weird child. I also used to have, I used to have a playhouse because my dad used to, like, build stuff, and then he had a shed that he eventually gave me as a playhouse. But the thing I spent the most time in was, like, we had a tent that I had as a playhouse. So I'd, like, have all of my little dishes there. I'd, like, play dishes and play stove and stuff and pretend to live out in the wilderness in the tent. It's probably why so much I want to live in a tiny house in the middle of the woods now with my cat. It's, like, probably why, because it brings me back to my childhood roots of just loving being around nature and kind of being out on your own and stuff. But I would do that day in and day out. While the boys tried to catch crayfish, because there was boys in our neighborhood that catch them out of the pond, I would try to make little concoctions and stuff with rocks and mud and plants and things. And I always used to have this reoccurring dream, like, because that stream flooded a lot, some of my stuff would sometimes get washed away because we were so close to it. But I always have this reoccurring dream of all of my, like, toys floating down the stream, and I'm, like, rushing through the stream trying to catch them all, and trying to get them all, trying to rescue them all from floating away. But, like, I still have that reoccurring dream. I still have dreams about my old house. It's because it was, like, in my opinion, the bestest house in the world. Like, it was an ideal situation for a kid. Not only was there wooded areas that we could play in, I had a nice big backyard, big for a kid anyway. I look at it now and it's, like, kind of, it's okay. But, you know, I had lots of areas I could explore and lots of places to play. And it just made me have this real big love for nature and plants and everything. I still go back there and get very nostalgic. Like, if I were rich, I would figure out the original... Okay, I thought I heard a noise. Figure out the original blueprints for the farmhouse, have it torn down either fully or partially, and, like, rebuild it in its former glory. And, basically live there on all the land. There used to be a trailer court behind our house too, and now that area is all wide open because they got rid of all the trailers. Like, the company that's right across the way was claiming that they wanted to use the land for something, and now that company is basically next to gone, and now everything's basically abandoned in that area. The only houses that exist are the nosy, irritating neighbors and my best friend's parents' house. Best friend when I was 5. Best friend now is the cat. But those houses are, like, further up the lane rather than in this open area. But maybe I'll try to attach pictures to this vlog so that you can get an idea of the area a little bit. I hear there are raccoons living in the house now, and squirrels. And that area was really bad for snakes. Like, there are copperheads everywhere. Like, if I wanted to move back into that area, I'd have to be very careful and make sure that I knew how to handle stuff, because I could easily put myself or my cat into danger if a copperhead got into the house. Yeah. My eye is twitching. I don't think it's noticeable, but sometimes like my upper eyelid twitches on my right eye. I don't know why. It's weird. Other childhood stories. From ages 9 to like, maybe it was like 8 or 9 to like maybe 11, I was Simba. Apparently I used to RP Simba so well that it irritated people. Like, I was so good at pretending his attitude and pretending his voice that I was actually irritating. That makes me sad, but that was the year I also decided I wanted to be a Disney cartoonist, and yes, at the age of 9, I started seriously pursuing art. But, that's kind of in the past now, because I'm disabled, so it's not like I can do amazing animation things, and most hand-drawn animation, unless I want to work for, like, a company that does, like, a show, or, like, a mini-series or something, hand-drawn animation doesn't really exist anymore, especially not with Disney. Now they've gone pretty much entirely 3D. But, yeah, I don't know that anybody ever makes a career choice that young, but I did. I made a career choice at the age of 9 to be a cartoonist, and I pursued art seriously ever since then. And I don't think I'm too bad, but I think that if I was going to pursue it really seriously, I should be farther, but I don't know, art is still fun. I just can't do it anymore because, number one, I don't have the attention span to put in long hours of work anymore, and if I would do that, like, even if I would do that normally for like a day or two, I would literally sleep for a week, because my body, while a normal person runs on 100% energy, I'm like 50% of that for some reason. So, I don't know if that's my depression, my anxiety, or the other bodily disorder that I have, but I don't know that I want to talk about that quite yet. Maybe I'll make another video talking about that stuff. I'm not trying to get attention about it. I really could care less. But I like people to know why I am who I am and why I'm doing what I'm doing. Yeah. What else? Excuse me. Oh, I know something. When I was really huge into Sonic, I made a bunch of Sonic created characters. I think it was like between 7 and 10 at that time. I always denote everything back to like before 11, because 11 is when I did my tween stage and I was trying to fit in with other kids. Didn't work out. Too weird. But yeah, I made probably well over 30 characters. I just kept drawing them and creating them and loving them. I still find like pages and pages of them to this day. Like, I sometimes would create like 5 or 10 characters in a day. Sorry, there's cat hair wrapped around my septum and I can't get it. But the only character I remember is the one that I used to represent me. It was a cat character, and I called her Circulation because she had a magical bracelet that she would use to wrap around people and start like cutting off circulation so that she could get them to talk. She was an evil character. I think I'd like to refine her to make her a more interesting character other than that, but the fact that an 8-year-old came up with that was probably like really interesting, I guess. I don't know. I was also super obsessed with Lisa Frank. Like, I had every folder, every notebook, every type of sticker. I knew all the characters. I was part of the Lisa Frank fan club. I still have a ton of stuffed animals and stuff. And, yeah. I still love Lisa Frank to this day. It's so colorful and just such an interesting art style. But I loved it. Those are things. Probably I ended up liking it because of the fact that there's unicorns in it. But yeah. I feel like those were less stories and more just explaining how I was as a child. I don't know. But that was me as a kid. Those were the things I did. That, and I ran around in my underwear all the time. Like, it was hard to keep clothes on me. If I wasn't in a swimsuit, I was in my underwear. Never did that outside, though. So, but, weird kid. Weird adult. Okay. Well, I'm gonna go. I hope you guys have a good day, or a good night. It's about 2:30 a.m. And I'm gonna go work on some of my stuff for my Dark Mori outfit. Okay. Well, have a good night. Bye.